Chapter 11, Cathedral. Jacob and Jeremy loved to explore the cellar of Papa's old house. It was old and dusty and full of danger. Jacob kept a watchful eye on his little brother while he looked for new and interesting stuff. He looked through the old toys and took a shine to an old robot. He'd never seen one like this, since there weren't many robots left. The Terrans were considered the ultimate achievement in robotics. Why would anyone want the others around? He flipped the switch on, and the lights in its eyes began to turn on. "Good morning," it exclaimed. Jacob and Jeremy laughed, for it was not morning. Jacob gave an order. "Recalibrate." The robot took a moment and said, "Oh dear, I've been out a very long time." "Are one of you Master William?" Jeremy said, "William is our papa." "Your papa? I suppose that's logical, considering the time that's passed. Is the war over?" Jacob knew history. It was his best subject in school. "There have been many wars." "Well, greetings. They call me Hector. May I be of assistance?" "I'm looking for some old books. Something different." Well, the master had many books. The robot drove around the corner. "Here's some good classic books by Samuel Langhorne Clemens." "I've read enough Mark Twain." Jacob stopped mid-sentence. He spotted a book on the top shelf with weird symbols on it. He climbed up the racks and pulled it down. "Hector, what is this?" "I believe it is an ancient book of secrets about the Knights Templar. They're long gone now, but it may be an interesting read." Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Jacob's ship arrived. It was much bigger than the Chancellor's ship and far less graceful. It was a battleship after all, and not built for luxury. Its job was not to instill awe, but to invoke fear. The landing, too, was rough, mechanical, and cold. Meeran soldiers cleared a walking path from the ship's ramp to the cathedral door. As the doors opened, Jacob's personal guards and advisors stepped out. Then came Jacob and his brother Terence. They moved down the path, but couldn't help noticing the civilian casualties being piled up. Jacob was disgusted by this. He resolved that this would not go without repercussions. They walked into the building, and the ambassador joined them. "Your Highness, the capital city is secure. There are checkpoints on all major roads. The minor roads have been destroyed. Our sleeper agents have taken over law enforcement." Jacob did little to acknowledge the ambassador's existence, but continued walking. "Our extensive lobbying and campaign contributions for the outlying governors have also paid off. We should have most resistance crushed in 48 hours. Jacob looked only into Olivia's eyes and nodded. Bianca was shocked. She asked in a whisper, "What was that?" "I wrote his speech." "Oh," Bianca said logically. Jacob walked up the stairs and sat on the chancellor's chair, doing so with command and authority. A camera was set up watching him, and the cameraman did a countdown with his fingers. When the green light went on, Jacob spoke. "Greetings. I am King Lanner of Meeran, and despite what you've been told, I've come as a liberator, not as a conqueror. For far too long, the empirical economy has been on the brink of collapse. The politicians spend money they don't have, knowing full well that they will have to raise taxes yet again, even after they promise not to. Isn't half more than enough? The income gap between the rich and poor has grown. With corporate tax loopholes, the rich buy yachts and take lavish vacations, while nearly 15% of our people cannot find work. Government regulation has gone too far. Buying a home used to be a simple affair. Now we need permission to even look. And your children are not immune. The education system has fallen behind and crippled by bureaucrats and unions. The very air you breathe is poisoned. Friends, countrymen, fellow citizens of the great empire, I have felt your pain and suffering. I understand repression and living under fear. As a child, I shook with fear as the Adlet invaded my home and took my family. All because of one simple thing. I'm human. King Lanner of Loman adopted me as his own. He tried to shelter me the best he could. But the fear that Adlet inflicted was never far from us, and the memories of my family haunted my dreams. I've come to bring safety. I've come to bring freedom and peace. Let everyone live where they desire. Let the rich pay their fair share so that everyone can get their basic right to health care. If the unions stand in the way, let them be abolished, and let no one take away your rights as parents, and let our children sleep without fear. A rifle blast shattered a third-floor window and came within an inch of Jacob's ear. His personal guards huddled around to cover him, and the technician cut the video feed. The general ordered his men to find the shooter. Bianca came to Jacob's aid. "Are you all right?" she asked, holding his head and looking all over for injury. "I am fine," he whispered back. "I swear I will cut the person up who did this, piece by piece." "Be careful what you wish for in moments of anger," said the shadowed voice to Jacob. Moments later, Meeran troops brought in a boy in his young teens. He was wild, defiant, and full of rage. "Bring him here," Jacob said, stepping down from the throne. They brought him to within arm's length. "Why?" "You killed my family. You and her." He looked at Bianca. She felt stunned and ashamed. His family were among those who were killed in the final assault. "Enough of this," said the general. "Have the boy removed and sent for re-education." "No," said Jacob. "He is in a dark place and will dwell there the rest of his life. The thought of revenge will consume him." He pulled the boy's head closer and whispered in his ear. The child went limp and fell to the floor. Jacob followed him and caught his fall. He held the boy in his arms like he was his own child. "I cannot curse you to live with so much grief and hate." He brushed the boy's hair. "This is war," said the general. "Did you expect this to be bloodless?" Jacob stood, pushed the general to the wall, and held a blade to his neck. "They're pulling their dead at the gates. Your goals and ambitions may not mirror my own, but you will follow my orders." He took a look at Bianca. "Do you know why I'm doing this? My ambition is not to conquer, but to save. Some would say that my ends justify my means. Why are all of you here?" "Tell us, brother," said Terence. "Do you know why we're here?" Jacob let the general go. "I know you more than you know yourselves. Our general here wants to prove his writings, that he's the ultimate military strategist. Olivia, you've never moved out of your hatred of the Adlet. You're here for revenge, and you're hoping I will still give you what you desire." He walked over to Bianca. "You're here because you crave power." "And me?" asked Terence again. "You're afraid of becoming a footnote in history, and Olivia won't think of you as a strong leader. Don't worry, you will have your chance at greatness. Nevertheless, you all need me. I am the Wishmaster, the genie in the bottle to make all your dreams come true. You are here because of me. Otherwise, you would be all back in your pathetic lives. Follow me to greatness or live in obscurity." Jacob's voice echoed through that building. Lieutenant Alexander walked in. "Excuse me, Your Highness, we have found the vault." "Good, I will be there momentarily." He pointed to the boy's body. "See that he is buried with his family." "Now, General," Jacob moved in for a private conversation. "We must discuss our problem with the pirates. One of their ships tried to take me out on the way here." "I'm sure your escorts dispatched him to the netherworld," he said with confidence. "Not exactly." Jacob moved his eyes down and tilted his head. "My escorts followed him nearly into the corona of a star before he just disappeared. It appears that they have Belru technology." Jacob looked up. "Which makes them more dangerous. We must engage them more diligently. We don't need any more complications in this matter." At the same time, Gorky and Bianca were also discussing important matters. "But you never told me your brother was going any further than this," Gorky whispered to her. "The way he's talking, it sounds like he wants the whole empire." Bianca looked into his eyes with a fierce stare and said, "He does." She broke off the conversation and followed Jacob, who entered a hallway to another lobby. About halfway down, she grabbed Jacob, pushed him to the wall, and kissed him passionately. "You get me all worked up when you get so intense," she said seductively, with her lips very close to his, and kissed him again. Jacob pulled her away and said, "This is neither the time nor the place," and walked into the following chamber.
Bianca took a moment to catch her breath and followed him in. Lieutenant Alexander spoke first. "We found the main vault entrance under the statue. It requires handprint identification. There appears to be a Class 7 lock behind it with Level 3 failsafes, MBQ Corp. The secrets of the Naughtian," He looked up at the chaplains gathered together. One of you has the key. Choose wisely, Jacob, said the shadow. Let's see how smart you really are. Jacob walked through the crowd of chaplains. It's futile to be so uncooperative. Why should you all die on principle? I know what you're hiding. All the secrets of the Nod. Maybe a few guardians? Wouldn't that be something? But of course, none of you are allowed to know these secrets. He reached an old blind chaplain, or even look at them. Jacob pointed to the old man. Here's your gatekeeper. Pull him out to the floor. The guards pulled him away from his escorting chaplain and left him standing alone on the floor. I don't want to do this, Jacob said. Then don't. We can all live in peace, the man said. I'd like nothing more, but actions speak louder than words. Where were you when the Adlet attacked my home? When my family ran for our lives in the streets? Jacob got close to his face. You, old man, you were standing guard over the one thing that could have stopped it all. I hold you responsible for all the death that has occurred, and I hold you responsible for what is to come. We all have had our challenges in life. You have been made stronger for it. At what cost? That is something I should ask you. You have weakened us in the sight of our enemies. I'm not the one hiding my motivations under falsehoods. Let the warren come. Jacob stepped back. Enough. We can do this the easy way or hard way. I will not help you. Jacob looked up at Bianca. She pulled out her sword and commented, The easy way, then?